we always kind of came back to, legitimately Nora Ephron and legitimately Wes Craven. Let's not shortchange either genre. So how can we treat these two as legitimately Hanks and Ryan, as the killer, a legitimate threat, and never play terror for real and never get caught trying to be funny?
Hello, and welcome back to The Director's Cut, brought to you by the Directors Guild of America. In this episode, Valentine's Day takes a horrifying turn after a pair of coworkers are targeted by a serial killer in director Josh Ruben's horror comedy, Hard Eyes. The film follows Allie, a cynical ad executive, and her hopelessly romantic colleague, Jay. After a meeting-turned-date, they accidentally become the next target of Hard Eyes, a masked maniac with glowing red eyes who returns every Valentine's Day to slaughter unsuspecting couples and must fight for their survival. In addition to Hard Eyes, Ruben's other directorial credits include the feature films Werewolves Within and Scare Me, the television special Death to 2021, and episodes of Die Hard, Adam Ruins Everything, Step 9, That Couple You Know, Dropout, Remix the Movies, and Hardly Working. Following a screening of the film at the DGA Theater in Los Angeles, Ruben spoke with director Zelda Williams about filming Hard Eyes. Listen on for their spoiler-filled conversation.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
What'd y'all think? Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Did Tom McLaughlin make it? Tommy? Oh, the director of Friday the 13th Part 6, my biggest inspiration, said, "See you tonight," and I guess he left. So.
Well, for what it's worth, we're old friends, so this is kind of fun because it just gets to be buddies hanging out and talking. I have a question because this is always my favorite when it comes to splashy, bloody horror films. What gag did you use the most blood on? And which one was actually like the hardest in terms of, did you have to do it multiple times?
It's all the same gag. So the ending, spoiler alert, was Jordana on the sword. So just a knife through the center of the throat. It's all about specifics. That's what makes a great kill, folks. They built this rig that I really wanted to come apart like a John Carpenter kind of a piece. I should be crediting the special effects makeup artist on the thing, who I can't think of right now, which is criminal. But I wanted a gag like that. They put one around her throat, and there were people kind of just below Jordana tugging at it, and the more they tug at it, the more it would kind of peel and be gross. And then it was an operation too for the blood person, so it was like a many person operation. Blood it kind of like gurgled, bubbled up over her throat, all over her clothes. And I was like, well, we have 3 more. We better do it again. It's like kind of like, well, that's why we're here. You know what I mean? So
you lucked out and you didn't get one of the like premature blood ejaculations, because I've had that and it was not fun.
Definitely. You did? And you just, and does everybody go like, well, that's it, so you have to make it work? Like, no, we have 2 more. You have to. Yeah. Well, why are we here, right?
Ours was overloaded. So it like did the thing where it shoots across the room and we're like, that's not right.
Yeah, this isn't.
I know we're not doing questions from the audience, but I had one that was written in by a lovely gentleman called Mason Gooding. When your actor crashes through a window at a police station and
he volunteered this, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay, great.
Oh, he volunteered this. He said, when he crashes through a window at a police station, what do you say when you run up and then they're bleeding?
So that was an accident. What you saw was just that was an accident, not meant to happen. He really smashed through a real door. And the first thing I said was, I think I said, "Are you okay?" first, but I definitely was like, I think it was something like, "Are you okay? And are you cool if I put that in the film?" And because you gotta, you know what I mean? And he If he said no, obviously not. But he was very, very generously in shock. And so he said yes.
Yeah, the adrenaline was probably just like, yes, absolutely. Please save that.
Absolutely. A cigarette in one hand and just a whole crew of folks working on the wrist. We were very, very lucky.
When it came to kind of doing the post process of this and finding the tone, what was the thing that felt kind of as the touchstone for you? What was the thing that felt like you had to carve everything else around it? Was it the comedy or the horror?
That's a great question. We always kind of came back to, legitimately Nora Ephron and legitimately Wes Craven. Let's not shortchange either genre. So how can we treat these two as legitimately Hanks and Ryan, as the killer, a legitimate threat, and never play terror for real and never get caught trying to be funny. So it was a bit of a challenge because we had a myriad of takes and options and this, that, and the other thing. What I kind of realized with our types of genre benders is I wonder if you feel the same way as music. It is music. It is, if you watch Halloween, it's wall to wall score. It's so, and most of Carpenter's work, I mean, the thing too, it just gets under your skin and kind of helps get you there. And, if we had decided to do something that was a little more telling for the comedy and gave everybody a big hat or something, would have taken away, would have diluted the threat.
My movie, yeah.
No, absolutely not. Zelda, by the way, I have to pimp you out for a second. She was one of the first eyes on the film and had a brilliant suggestion too. She came in and watched the film. She's like, the two of them, it's so propulsive. The energy is so propulsive, and they're running all night from the serial killer. And then they get in this van and they just monologue at each other. Why not do a Greek chorus soundscape of sex in the back? There are a couple of hippies back there. It was like, oh my God, yes, a Greek chorus of responses, of call and responses. It's just one of my favorite moments in the film. So
I did tell you to steal from porn until you could ADR it. Because I thought it would be very funny to just have sloppy sex in the background.
Well, it really was just me feeding them for response, just kind of going, my butt, like really respond, like trying to get,
I'm a little sad you didn't go with when they were talking about their parents and their childhood, like just a soft daddy in the background.
Oh, yeah, we should have. Yeah. Do you think this is the first time a conversation like this has ever been done in this sacred room? Yeah, there we go. Okay, wonderful.
I was like, I highly doubt it. I've seen a lot of movies in here that were much more raunchy than either things that you and I made.
Heaven. Oh, good. Okay.
But I'm because you had much more of a horror balance in yours. I had to stick to comedy. What was that like for you of trying to actually make something that felt gory or like approaching that while still keeping quite a romantic comedy heart? I didn't have to do that, so.
I was that felt more natural for me than the rom-com stuff. I remember once I got the girls on camera at the cafe, I went, what am I doing? This is so out of my element to film like a couple of girlfriends talk about stuff and being in debt and like guys. Like I was like, this is so not, I've never, come from internet comedy and obscure esoteric whatever thrillers. So I was like, I don't know if I'm doing this right. But you kind of realize you just have to get actors who will play it for real, not get caught trying to be funny, and surround yourself with great department heads. And those department heads are just like, okay, well, I know I want this to be evocative of a little bit of defending your life without the togas, just in energy, a little bit of Pretty Woman, a little bit this for color, a little bit of, the restaurant and Big and this, that, and the other thing. And if you surround yourself with those great department heads, as the filmmakers in here know, it's like, oh, that's how it helps you kind of get there. You just have to go through the process of repeating yourself, that communication, right? It's like they're never going to get your imagination, our imaginations out there on screen.
I don't think they should legally get either of our imaginations out there on screen. We were curious outside, how many ADs are in the house tonight? Are there any ADs or is it all directors?
Yeah. Oh.
Fabulous.
Well, shout out to my AD, Joe Nolan, who was a phenomenal presence, who really kept things moving.
I was also curious because you're working with a bunch of young actors, and this, I will say, I don't know if this has been your experience as much as what I had navigated previously. A lot of young actors right now are not coming from the training ground, I would think, of the previous even 10, 20 years of sitcoms and of comedies. It's not as common anymore. What was finding comedic beats like with an ensemble cast of young actors? Were there any tips that you had if they didn't come from a comedy background? What was that like for you?
That is an awesome question, because these two actors, Olivia Holt and Mason Gooding, are so very natural and kind of naturally themselves, but they're not comedians. So it was this kind of wild thing where I realized, I kind of discovered what their comedic strengths were as we started shooting. So I guess, for lack of better phrasing, we kind of just jumped in, and I went, yeah, it'll be funny because it's me, or because of the composition or the music or the kind of propulsion of the edit or whatever it is. And then you kind of realize, okay, she's so great at expressions and kind of awkwardness, and he is actually a very effortless kind of improviser. And so it's really kind of about, especially for like younger actors, and they're very experienced, but creating that kind of playground, that safe environment for them to just try stuff, right? Isn't that that is the biggest thing. It's just like, you are safe to try whatever. Like the police car scene in this film I'm so proud of both of them. Because that was an opportunity where they were both trying stuff, and I just said, "Oh yeah, let's just do more." Now make it this is their first argument. Like, just truly, just like let it go. It doesn't matter who's around. Like, truly, just whatever. Like Albert Brooks said, crush the walnuts. Like whatever. Like kick more, make more of a scene. And despite the circumstances, and they played it for real. And then they come out with these great like kind of improv beats. I think the whole thing is about safety.
What was casting a comedy movie, especially now that everything, comedy and horror, but now that everything is usually Zoom and tape, did you get to do any sort of chemistry read? Because given when so I see that face. I didn't do the same thing. No, we didn't get to do anything.
Yeah.
What was that like to have to take a chance on the chemistry of two leads that are supposed to be romantic and also surviving things when you're like, you won't meet in person, you're going to stare at each other through a Zoom screen?
Pure terror. But isn't the thing that you have to do background checks? Is that what you did? Not with computers, but do you ask a buddy?
Mason has some weird tickets.
Totally, like, hey, is this cool? You know what I mean? It's like you just kind of ask around. Are they down? That was the biggest thing for me is Olivia cool? Is she cool? Is he gonna have is he gonna be upset if his LaCroix is warm or whatever? And that's the first piece of it. Is like we are all traveling across the world to make this thing together, to go to summer camp together, winter camp for us in New Zealand. It was a balmy 50 degrees. And I at least need to know that they're cool and down, and they're good people. And so I ask folks who've worked with Mason that said, you're not going to believe how effusive we are. You're going to think we're lying. And then my producer had just worked with Olivia on Totally Killer and said, you are not going to believe how professional and how wonderful she is. She's been doing this since she was a kid. So then you just put them together. I mean, Mason got off the plane and was like complimenting everybody's eye color and giving out flowers. And she just like, thank you so much. And I loved, I don't know, your lookbook and this and that. But they were all just so gracious and down to earth. So I think if you don't get the opportunity to chemistry read, at the very least, background checks, not necessarily, with the government, but.
What about your supporting cast? If you're doing a lot of stuff via tape and it's usually straight to offer, how does it feel to try and figure out a dynamic of groups of friends, of killers in this situation where you're trying to see, would they intimidate each other? What does this feel like without getting to have them in the same space?
That's a great question. I mean, again, it's like with Yosin, who played opposite Jordan in the ending, our David character, you audition and see without coloring it, like Quentin Tarantino talked about this with auditions, right? Just come in, let me just see you do it. And then I adjust him and say, okay, now just come in and act as if, you're addressing a group of your friends at a party. And the same language is probably that much more terrifying. And you just see how he does that or how he makes that adjustment. This is kind of, pretty basic stuff. And then the trick becomes testing or inquiring about their willingness to rehearse. And luckily, everybody was down to rehearse the bigger stuff. You got a 5-page restaurant scene or a 5-page monologue at a such and such. You don't want to do that. And so we did that with our killers. We did that with our lovers at the restaurant. And luckily, everyone was down. Hopefully, I won't have the experience with like, no, I'm good. We'll figure it out.
What's something that you didn't get to do on this film that you really want to in the future?
Oh man, I think maybe more action. Yeah, because it's so terrifying, and you really kind of have to like. It really is. It's the action button. You really have to. You have to kind of, in my mind, shoot for the edit and push the boundaries a bit. Yeah, I think more. I don't know, because it's just
like
so
explosion action or like fight sequence action.
Visceral fight stuff. Yeah, really, really nasty, close. I don't know. What about you?
Oh, don't ask me. Mine are really weird.
That's what we're here for. I mean,
we're here to talk to you. I'm fine. I'm just your friend. He does a really good Mads Mikkelsen impression, by the way, and I need you to understand how niche that is. As like the biggest Mads Mikkelsen fan in the world, he did an impression at one point that I texted him, and I was like, I think this might just be for me, where he's talking. You were Mads Mikkelsen doing Hungry Hungry Hippos.
Yes. So you want to play Hungry Hungry Hippos? Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah.
So when it comes to things that we should just talk about him, if we ever run out of anything, just yell out names of actors, and he probably does an impression of them.
Do you think anyone's done a Mads Mikkelsen in this sacred place?
I'm going to doubt that.
Is this going to be the most downloaded DGA podcast?
I'm also going to doubt that, much as I love us. I'm curious. Wait, sorry. I keep forgetting because I'm not good with mics. In making a movie then that like when you guys had such a fun response, you had this great second weekend, you start having these discussions about sequels and about expanding a universe. Was that something that you thought about in making something, or is it something that then you're just having to come to terms with the idea of like, oh, more of my life is now in this world?
I can't wait till we get up to the Roman numerals. Let's put them in space because you gotta. I want to make like mortgage movies. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, Josh just did that for the mortgage at the Paso Robles. We haven't officially talked about anything. There's just been a lot of like love and momentum. The articles are just like, well, I sure would love that. And I don't think I'd have much more than a second one in me, because I think, oh my gosh, the real success of this would be to do it again and to again not shortchange the genre. So if you could give people a really good time and give people the feels, as much of the feels as you would get watching Julia Roberts and Richard Gere, as you give them the chills, watching anything Wes Craven ever did, or Tom McLaughlin, then that would be then I think there could be as many hard eyes as there are rom-coms. A Bridget Jones
sequel, baby, threequel, divorce.
Absolutely.
Then they get back together.
Yeah,
you get 4 out of that.
And then a really low budget. What is it? The more you make, the lower the budget. So the 4th would just be for an ADU. You know what I mean? Just a tiny little.
I think there's so many now that defy that definition, where you're now getting like what the Fast and the Furious in space. So you never know.
True.
They could wind up saving the world.
Absolutely.
Crossover with Godzilla.
He technically has followers,
Because I'm sure, I don't know if there's like a thing that tells us when to stop being silly.
Yeah. I'm ready to start asking you questions.
Now we can just start being ridiculous.
Start.
We weren't already.
Oh my goodness. Oh, man.
What is, okay, two-hander.
Yeah.
Was there a scene that went so wrong that you that you remember quite viscerally being like, oh no, and then it wound up in the film?
I think everything we shot ended up in the film. I just really don't love, mainly because of the memory of the bathroom. It's just a really tough location. It doesn't look pretty, so I'm kind of filming it. My executive, who I loved, is kind of like, that's it, huh? That was tough. And it is kind of that. That's a weird thing. This is my first studio film, and you look around, you can just feel your armpits sweating, and people are just kind of like, it feels like kind of a B-. That was probably probably the worst it got. They could have gone way off the rails. But there was a walk and talk that didn't work. Walk and talks are tough, especially if you have 12 minutes. Like, hey, let's get
a 12-minute walk and talk.
No. I just mean 12 to do it. I mean, I'd love to 1917 it, but
I was like, I'm very shocked if there was a Sorkin-esque scene that was supposed to be in this movie that you cut.
I'm thinking more Snake Eyes,
Gotcha. Okay, so you didn't wind up with one of those catastrophic scenes that you're like, I really hope that no one.
It was kind of a tough thing to block out a walk and talk with actors who you love and respect. One of which you grew up watching, Devon Sawa. He would know. So you're just like, oh my God, this blocking is it's fine. That I didn't think about the timing of the dialogue to when the camera can possibly not continue moving anymore for safety reasons. And it's starting to get, and then it's like raining a little bit. I mean, that is a really weird feeling. Yeah.
Since you brought up Devon Sawa, is it true that you, when you had a machete go up into his gooch, did you in post have to widen that shot? Because I, having seen a very early cut, don't even remember that shot. And I was like, did you go back and shoot fake legs that got split? Please explain.
Yeah. Do you think anyone's ever said gooch in this sacred? Do you think it'd be the first time on the DJ podcast that they ever, you know what I mean?
Your movie was R-rated. I think we're fine.
Copy. So yes, we did widen the wound. I believe it was actually Devon's. No, was it Devon's derriere or our stunt person Byron? Either way, we did have Alex McCall, who played Hard Eyes, wedge the actual dulled machete up to the center of him, and he was wearing basically like armored underwear. So we got to just like get a little bit of that movement. I mean, he didn't go full force, but we were able to just get the motion. And then it's wild what you can do with VFX. You can kind of widen up gooches and add blood and yeah.
In speaking to those conversations, was there ever a moment in the figuring out in the cut what you wanted to do in these deaths where you were like, what if a ball fell out of the side? Because that happened with me a lot where I'd be like, but what if we did this? And they'd be like, no.
But isn't it an incredible thing when you have those resources? They're just like, well, technically the director wants to see, a split. You know what I mean?
I was allowed to throw a prosthetic penis at 750 frames a second. So I understand. They occasionally allow you to do really, really weird things that you think they're going to take back. So I get
things they let us do.
Was there any of those that you would have liked to go further? And they were like, no.
I think, it's funny you mentioned that scene. I would have loved to, in retrospect, said, man, we should have built him just a nasty jaw or like one of those, awful, actual horrific prosthetics where you just get to see just for a split second, like the lower half of his.
You wanted the Ring moment?
And yeah, completely. Or the, the James Franco Love Lies Bleeding, or I feel like there's been a few of them, the Close Up and Drive, like whatever, just a real smashed in, sliced up would have been nice just for a second. Let's not be nihilistic.
How many iterations of the mask did you go through while finding an iconic mask?
Great question. So Tony Gardner was our mask maker. He worked on everything from Chuck Russell's The Blob and Hocus Pocus to the new Chucky series to Totally Killer and Freaky. He's phenomenal. And he has this great software where, you just, you essentially dream, and he does 3D renders and shows you what from the front and side and back this mask would look like on, the average head. So we tried everything. I said, let's try a little bit of the Miner from My Bloody Valentine 1981. Let's try a little bit of Hellraiser. Let's try a gas mask. Let's homage Jason. At one point, it was just a hockey mask that was yellow with holes. I mean, it was just like, that's a little too close with like heart eyes. We always knew we wanted heart-shaped eyes. And the brilliant adjustment came from Chris Landon, who said, let's age it. Let's give it a little history, because then you kind of start to go, oh God, where has that thing been? Like, what has it seen? The oxidized blood across the mouth. Like, I was like, oh yeah, that's age. It's like, so who came before? Who was the cause of that? Whose blood is that? So I would say there were easily 15 because once we, there were, let's say 8 or so, swings. And then once we kind of found the general version of what this mask was, tubes, without tubes, with nodules, without this, that, and the other thing, we started to get in the details of it. And that's when you really start to go.
Like the lights and the things.
Yeah. I always knew I wanted the eyes to light up. That just felt important to me as a horror-loving action figure nerd.
What about the rest of the costume? When you're hiding, what is the reveal in this that there's multiple people playing the same character? Was that something that you actually wanted it to feel like kind of amorphous? Because it does. If you put me in a lineup of a bunch of people with long coats, I wouldn't have actually been able to pick out which coat that character's wearing because the mask does draw all the focus. Was that something you guys were kind of hoping to do so it didn't feel like a full costume? Or
Jandra Watson was our wardrobe designer, and she helped the focal point be the mask. So like the coat really helped that. But when we looked at everything, we went really like super biker kinky at one point, very S&M-y, very Hellraiser-y. And then once the coat kind of came into play, we thought, ooh, there's your, what is it? What do they say? And is it video games? It's like silhouette and attitude. It's like, that you once we had the silhouette and the attitude, the eyes and the, the collar, whatever.
I don't think anyone in video games has ever said that.
Definite. No, Zelda, trust me. You don't know as a video gamer. No, I'm just kidding. Zelda's like the genius video game encyclopedia. I was, they definitely say that.
They have that designer dress up game, maybe in that one.
Yeah.
There's so much silhouette.
Don't they say that in The Sims? Like, the attitude.
They don't say anything in The Sims. They go beep, bloop, bloop, bloop. Like they don't there's no voices, Josh.
Wait, that's not a horror game? So once
you can if you take the steps out of the pool.
Oh yeah, you can. What's the build one? Typhoon?
Sims roller coaster typhoon.
You think anyone said roller coaster tycoon in this sacred space? This has gone so probably.
I bet the Sims 2000 as well. 5 minutes.
right on cue. Man,
like
I feel
how much more unhinged since you keep pursuing the has anyone said this? How much more unhinged can we get?
I feel like Robert Eggers.
Did you? No, because I was there for that Q&A. They talked a lot about 17th century Austrian art. I can't help you guys there.
Like us.
What was, especially given that you're kind of making a choice in so many of these scenes to comment both on like women's dating experience, the feeling of being potentially attacked at threat or keeping people at a distance or being in a position of being like, I don't know. How did you navigate that balance as well? Because you also, I would say she is more central certainly than the Mason character who kind of comes in and usurps the path she was on and the choices she was making.
Yeah.
Especially you never see his apartment. You never see his life. It's about her and he enters her life.
Yeah.
So for you as a guy, what was it like being like, okay, so this is the kind of life she would have and the house she would have and there's her vibrator. Like how did that feel for you and how was it like navigating that with a young actress?
So Abby Woolcomb was our prop master on this film and she was like, how do you want to do the vibrator? And I was like, you take her into another space and she can decide. She's like, oh, because I have many choices. And so I was like, please, I don't want to be involved. That's for you and Olivia. Olivia picked and made a great decision. It looks great on camera. I mean, I don't know. The character kind of evolved. I mean, I don't know if I'm sure those of you who've been in production have adjusted script when you've been in it, like whether you're in prep or you're like on the weekends as you're shooting. We were constantly talking about what would make sense as far as like where she just logically and not be like, she's not making smart decisions, et cetera, et cetera. The looming weight of who he was for her job security was a really, really interesting, kind of angle and anchor. But to speak quickly to the apartment, I just love the detail that she was messy. I just thought it was great. And Olivia walked in there and was like, this is a little too close. This is very me. This is way too, how did you know? And that felt great.
Well, I thought you did a really great balance with the female best friend because and I get that it gets approached a lot in movies right now, but the unhinged female best friend thing is kind of one of my favorite points that we get to play with. And she was, I told you when we watched it very early on, she was my favorite because she was so much like a lot of the people I have in my life as a very usually put together and poised person, minus the swearing and ridiculous references. What was it like also finding their dynamic where you feel not necessarily voyeuristic, but you're getting to look into a girl's world in a thing that isn't, this isn't Mean Girls. This isn't the kind of very pitched feminine movie, but there is still this very central friendship and female energy.
That's an awesome question. It was just as valuable a love story as Olivia and Mason's. So just as equal as those two characters' importance was Gigi's and Bado's and Olivia Holt's friendship, and they did not chemistry read. She also got off the plane, and they also met. I had no idea how that was going to go. They are fast friends. They're still hanging out, and it shows. Like, it was really, really fun. That was their first big scene. I mean, that's essentially their only scene in person, and to watch them play off each other and how they were taking care of each other at the cafe. Oh no, I'm sorry. That's right. The heftier scene at the cafe. I apologize. They had two in person, I should say. In the cafe, to watch them, especially when they're having drinks, take care of each other and how Gigi and make each other laugh. I was just like, this is what it is.
Did you film the bathroom scene not in person?
The bathroom.
Were there in like two different stalls, and then Mason entered the bathroom?
Yo, man, you caught me again. Technically, but I don't know. They didn't see each other. Whatever.
They were in two different stalls, but I was like, please tell me you didn't do that like 2 different days.
Same day as the cafe. Tight day, folks. Tight day.
Fair enough. Oh no, we have to fill for 1 minute. Do you want to do your impression of Matt Mickelson again?
So you want to play Hungry Hippos? It's just plastic, but it's a good time.
If you guys haven't seen Riders of Justice, I'm just going to pitch. I'm like now going to be Mads Mikkelsen's spokeswoman. If you haven't seen Riders of Justice, which came out during the pandemic and didn't get nearly enough love, it's a delightful movie.
Can I double feature it with the one where he drinks?
Another round?
Yeah,
absolutely. Riders of Justice is more like Die Hard.
But with Mads.
It's like a very emotional Christmas movie that also happens to come with him murdering an entire biker gang.
Yippee-ki-yay.
Yeah. I was like, I don't know what. I feel like we covered so many beautiful things.
We actually made it to Hungry Hippos.
You were in New Zealand. Did you run across anything that was like dangerous? It's not like Australia where everything can kill you. You were like, no, nothing.
No,
sheep.
It's like New Zealand.
So
they all
many
want to
fucking
hug you.
sheep.
Yeah. It's just the scariest thing in New Zealand is toast. You know what I mean? That's how unscary it is.
Yeah, we had more scary things in New Orleans.
Oh my God, absolutely.
I had a snake guy that one day I was leaving set and he was definitely not trying to find me, but his car said snake guy. So I know that's what he was doing. And he said, were you, ma'am, were you the lady that wanted to see the snakes? And I was like, sure, yeah. And he opens the back of the truck and he was like, I was told not to tell the actors because it would freak them out. He's got these big orange cans and he opens it and there's a 3-foot long rattlesnake in this. And he went, well, that was Mama. We found her first. And I'm like, oh no. He opens the second one. There's 6 baby rattlesnakes in it. It's lunchtime. So that was what he found before.
Like, you're welcome.
Lunch. Yeah. You had sheep.
Yeah.
That sounds so much
sheep
nicer.
And toast, and you had baby rattlesnakes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They were so nice. We put them in the movie. We did not. I didn't want them anywhere near me.
Same.
Yeah.
But we want you near us. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you guys coming out, watching Hard Eyes. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks for coming.
And thank you, Zelda.
Thanks for listening to another DGA Q&A. The Director's Cut is available wherever you listen to podcasts. And please share, subscribe, rate, and review. We'd love to hear your feedback, and you can help fellow film buffs find the show. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time. This podcast is produced by the Directors Guild of America